In the vast landscape of racing games, the MotorStorm series stood out not for its polish or precision, but for its unrelenting embrace of chaos. When the first MotorStorm hit the PlayStation 3 in 2007, it redefined off-road racing with its combination of brutal crashes, dynamic terrain, and an atmosphere that felt as untamed as the tracks themselves. Building on this foundation, MotorStorm Pacific Rift came roaring onto the scene in 2008. The sequel that promised bigger thrills, more challenging tracks, and a setting that could only be described as Jurassic Park for vehicles. The allure of Pacific Rift lay in its premise. A racing festival set on a volcanic tropical island teeming with danger. Evolution Studios took the formula that worked so well in the first game, visceral racing, a diverse roster of vehicles, and a penchant for destruction, and added layers of innovation. The result was a game that didn't just want you to cross the finish line, it wanted to make you earn it. But this wasn't just a game about speed, it was a game about survival, strategy, and embracing the sheer unpredictability of off-road racing. Where else could you drive through lava fields, barrel over cliffs, and attempt to drift on a waterfall-soaked track, usually all in a single lap? The game thrived on its ability to turn every race into a memorable story, whether you emerged victorious or became intimately familiar with the restart button. More than anything, Pacific Rift captured the spirit of its time. The late 2000s were a period of experimentation in gaming, where developers pushed hardware to its limits and took risks with their designs. For Evolution Studios, Pacific Rift was a labor of love, a chance to prove that the PlayStation 3 was more than just a console, it was a platform for breathtaking innovation, and boy did they deliver. The decision to move the series from the arid, desolate desert of the first game to a vibrant tropical island was both aesthetic and practical. The island allowed the developers to experiment with varied biomes, creating the now iconic zones of earth, air, fire, and water. This wasn't just about making the game prettier, though it certainly helped. The different environments directly influenced gameplay, challenging players to adapt to new hazards and changing terrains. Lava flows and deep mud weren't just eye candy, they were ready to sabotage your lead at the first opportunity. The team also revamped the roster of vehicles, introducing monster trucks to complement the returning classes. Each vehicle type brought its own advantages and risks, and the challenge of balancing them for competitive play became one of the more intricate aspects of development. Monster trucks, for example, could crush smaller vehicles and power through rough terrain, but they were also slower and more prone to overheating. Evolution Studios worked tirelessly to ensure that every race felt dynamic and unpredictable, regardless of your chosen ride. The development team spent countless hours crafting tracks that were more than just routes to the finish line. Tracks in Pacific Rift felt alive, filled with dynamic elements like falling rocks, crashing waves, and destructible vegetation. The lava, for instance, wasn't just a visual feature, it could overheat your vehicle if you drove too close, adding a layer of strategy to every race. Conversely, water could cool your engine, letting you use your boost more aggressively. These elements added a layer of interaction between the player and the environment that was groundbreaking for its time. Despite their ambitions, Evolution faced several challenges during development. The team had to optimize their physics engine to handle the complex interactions between vehicles, terrain, and environmental hazards without compromising the game's frame rate. Early builds of the game reportedly saw vehicles being launched into the stratosphere due to bugs in collision detection, a feature that, sadly, didn't make it into the final version. One particularly ambitious feature was the ability for foliage to respond dynamically to vehicles, creating the illusion of an untamed jungle. The team's artists and engineers collaborated to ensure that every palm tree, fern, and vine felt like part of a living ecosystem. This attention to detail paid off, as the jungle tracks became some of the most visually impressive in the game. The graphics and visuals of MotorStorm Pacific Rift are a tour de force, transforming its tropical island setting into a vibrant, perilous world that's as beautiful as it is deadly. Evolution capitalizes on the natural diversity of the island, dividing it into 4 elemental zones: earth, air, fire, and water. Each zone is visually and atmospherically distinct. Muddy jungles teeming with dense vegetation define earth, molten lava flows and scorched landscapes dominate fire, serene beaches and cascading waterfalls bring water to life, and jagged peaks and open skies characterize air. The meticulous use of lighting and color heightens each differences, emphasizing the unique challenges posed by each environment. Attention to detail elevates the experience. Foliage reacts dynamically to vehicles, bending and swaying as racers blow through, while mud splashes onto tires and chassis before being washed away by streams or rain. These subtleties make the world feel tactile and immersive. Vehicles themselves start races in pristine condition, motorcycles gleam, monster trucks exude rugged charm, and rally cars boast intricate paint jobs, but by the end of a race, they bear the scars of battle, mud-caked, dented, and scorched, a testament to the chaos of the track. The environments aren't passive backdrops, they actively engage players. Waterfalls cascade onto tracks, creating slick surfaces, while lava flows dangerously close to shortcuts, daring players to risk overheating their engines. The island feels alive, with weather effects subtly altering the atmosphere mid-race. Sunlight bursts through clouds, mist rises in the jungle, and shadows shift with the wind. This visual splendor is powered by the PlayStation 3's technical capabilities, with Evolution leveraging advanced shaders, realistic lighting, and detailed textures. Even amidst the chaos of multi-car collisions and environmental hazards, the game maintains smooth performance, showcasing the studio's technical expertise. In Pacific Rift, the visuals are more than a feast for the eyes. They're integral to the adrenaline-fueled experience, blending beauty and danger into every race. Audio serves as a driving force behind its immersive and chaotic gameplay, going beyond functional noise to create an auditory experience that amplifies every moment of the race. It's not just what you hear, but how the sounds interact with the world and your actions, pulling players into the heart-pounding tension of each event. One of the most impressive aspects is the way the sound reacts to the player's vehicle and surroundings. A rally car rumbling over rocky terrain has a distinctly different sound profile compared to a monster truck plowing through thick mud. The screech of tires on wet surfaces, the splash of water as you cross streams, and even the subtle hiss of steam rising from lava-heated tracks add layers of auditory realism. These details make each track feel unique and alive, emphasizing the connection between your actions and the environment. The environmental audio is a standout feature, creating a soundscape that feels as dynamic as the gameplay. As you race through the jungle, you'll hear birds chirping and leaves rustling, only to have the serenity shattered by the roar of engines or the crack of a car's chassis as it gets a little too intimate with a tree. Fire tracks, with their ominous rumble of volcanic activity and sharp crackling of lava, build a palpable tension, while the soothing rush of waterfalls and water zone tracks provides brief moments of auditory calm amidst the chaos. Music plays an equally crucial role in Pacific Rift, driving the adrenaline-fueled atmosphere of the game. The soundtrack, a carefully curated mix of hard rock, punk, electronic and indie tracks, is tailored to maintain the intensity of every race. Notable bands like Queens of the Stone Age, Nirvana, Slipknot, Noisia and The Prodigy lend their signature energy, while lesser-known artists ensure a diverse listening experience that matches the game's unpredictable nature, seemingly syncing perfectly with the chaos on screen. Compared to its predecessor, Pacific Rift refines and expands its use of audio. The soundscape feels richer, the music more varied, and the interplay between sound and gameplay more dynamic. Whether it's the whine of a motorcycle weaving through obstacles or the satisfying crunch of a monster truck flattening a rival, the audio doesn't just enhance the experience, it defines it, leaving players fully immersed in the game's chaotic world. The gameplay once again captures the raw, chaotic energy of off-road racing and refines it with bold new mechanics, dynamic tracks, and an expanded roster of vehicles. It takes the formula established in its predecessor and amplifies it, delivering an experience that is both familiar and refreshingly innovative. At the core of the game is its diverse vehicle selection. Players can choose from 8 distinct classes, each with its own strengths and weaknesses. Motorcycles, ATVs, buggies, rally cars, racing trucks, mudpluggers, big rigs, and the newly added monster trucks. Motorcycles and ATVs strive on agility, darting through narrow pathways and tight corners, while big rigs and monster trucks dominate the more rugged terrain, often crushing smaller vehicles in their path. Monster trucks in particular add a new dimension to the gameplay, offering unparalleled power and durability, though their size can make them vulnerable in tight spaces or against environmental hazards. Tracks in Pacific Rift are more varied and challenging than ever. Set on a lush tropical island, the 16 courses are divided into 4 elemental zones: earth, air, fire and water, each presenting unique gameplay twists. For instance, the fire tracks feature lava flows that can overheat engines and reduce boost effectiveness, while water tracks incorporate streams and waterfalls that cool engines, allowing for more aggressive boosting. Earth tracks are characterized by deep mud and dense vegetation, slowing heavier vehicles but providing hidden paths for lighter ones. And air tracks take players to jagged peaks and open skies, emphasizing high speeds and big jumps. The variety of routes ensures that no two races feel the same, as players must constantly adapt to both the terrain and their rivals. The environmental hazards are more dynamic and impactful than in the first game. Lava flows cut tracks in half, loose rocks and boulders force split-second decisions, and destructible elements like the big gun alter the layout of the track as the race progresses. These hazards don't just challenge players, they actively shape the outcome of every race, making split-second reactions and adaptability critical to success. One of the most defining mechanics is the boost system, which returns with greater complexity. Boosting provides a temporary speed surge but risks overheating the vehicle. The tropical island's environment plays a key role in managing the system. Water cools the engine, extending boost use, while proximity to lava increases the risk of overheating. This interplay between boost management and environmental factors adds a layer of strategy to every race, as players must decide when to push their vehicle to its limits and when to play it safe. In terms of game modes, Pacific Rift introduces new ways to play. Eliminator mode raises the tension by removing the slowest racer at timed intervals, turning every second into a fight for survival. Speed mode has players drive through a series of checkpoints as fast as they can in order to outrun a time limit. And time attack challenges players to master tracks, learning the optimal paths and shaving seconds off their lap times, even being able to take on the developer's own times. These modes, combined with the classic festival races, provide a wealth of content that caters to both casual players and competitive racers. Multiplayer was another highlight, offering online support for up to 16 players and local split screen for up to 4, ensuring that the chaos could be shared with friends, until October 1st, 2012 that is. Compared to its predecessor, Pacific Rift is a more polished and expansive experience. The tracks are tighter, the vehicle roster is broader, and the environmental hazards are more dynamic, creating a game that feels both larger in scope and more refined in execution. It's not just about reaching the finish line, it's about surviving the journey, mastering the terrain, and embracing the chaos of the tropical islands. Whether players are navigating a narrow jungle path on an ATV, or barreling through a muddy ravine in a monster truck, the gameplay of MotorStorm Pacific Rift ensures every race is unforgettable. Just like its predecessor, Pacific Rift isn't exactly in it for the plot. There isn't much in the way of an overarching story, it's more about the vibe. This isn't the hero's journey, it's a racer's struggle against nature, gravity, and a dozen other maniacs with a death wish. The story, if you could call it that, is essentially get to the island, race, die an agonizing death a few times, win, repeat. No complex lore, no mysterious figures pulling the strings behind the scenes. Just you, an island, and an unhealthy appetite for vehicular destruction. That being said, the game does a good job of giving players a sense of being part of a greater, lawless event. The MotorStorm Festival is once again portrayed as an anything-goes celebration of chaos and speed. It's a gathering of thrill seekers, adrenaline junkies, and people who aren't afraid to play with fire, literally. The loose framework of a high-octane festival on a tropical island helps set the stage for all the insane races, giving players just enough context to feel like they're part of something larger, even if it isn't fully fleshed out. The lack of a traditional story actually works in the game's favor, encouraging players to create their own narratives through the races themselves. Every close call, every epic crash, and every hard-earned victory becomes part of your personal MotorStorm journey. The unpredictability of the festival's environments adds to this sense of storytelling. Players are left to navigate the madness in whatever they can, forging memorable moments through sheer willpower and reckless abandon. The legacy of Pacific Rift reflected status as one of the standout titles in the PlayStation 3 library, and a high point for the franchise. Upon release, the game received widespread acclaim for its dynamic gameplay, stunning visuals, and atmospheric sound design. It built on the foundation of its predecessor and established itself as a benchmark for off-road racing games, with many reviewers praising its balance of technical innovation and pure fun. Critics lauded the game for its ability to seamlessly blend chaotic arcade-style racing with a level of polish that was uncommon for the genre at the time. The diversity of tracks, vehicles, and environmental hazards was a frequent highlight, with outlets noting that no two races ever felt the same. The addition of new game modes like Eliminator and Speed also earned praise for adding variety and replayability to an already robust package. Even the challenge of the game's steep learning curve was embraced by many as a sign of depth and long-term appeal. The multiplayer component, both local and online, was celebrated for its accessibility and sheer entertainment value. Online matches with up to 16 players created moments of unpredictable hilarity and tension, while split-screen racing ensured that the game could be enjoyed in a party setting, a rarity for titles of the era. Despite its acclaim, Pacific Rift wasn't immune to criticism. Some players found the difficulty curve too steep, with environmental hazards and aggressive AI leaving little room for error. Others pointed out the occasional technical hiccup, such as long load times or sporadic physics glitches. However, these issues were generally seen as minor in the context of the game's broader achievements. Over time, Pacific Rift has become a cult classic, remembered fondly by fans for its daring approach to off-road racing and its unapologetic embrace of chaos. Its influence can be seen in later racing games that attempt to balance spectacle with substance, and it remains a favorite for those who experienced it during its prime. Each installment brought its own unique flavor, yet Pacific Rift stands as a testament to the series' golden age, a thrilling reminder of the creative heights evolution could reach. In retrospect, Pacific Rift is often cited as the pinnacle of the MotorStorm series. It struck a perfect balance between challenge and accessibility, spectacle and strategy. For fans of high-octane off-road racing, it remains a touchstone, a game that didn't just push the limits of its hardware, but captured the spirit of unrelenting adventure. To this day, its lush tracks, brutal hazards, and pounding soundtrack serve as a testament to the artistry and ambition of its developer. In the end, MotorStorm Pacific Rift is more than just a racing game. It's a beautiful disaster waiting to happen. It is a title where you don't just race opponents, you battle the elements, the environment, and your own hubris. The game throws you into a volatile, untamed world and dares you to make it through, preferably with as few explosions as possible. It may not have the polished refinement of modern racers or an intricate narrative to unravel, but it has heart, a heart that pumps gasoline, screams in the chorus of engine roars, and occasionally catches fire. For those who love it, MotorStorm Pacific Rift isn't just about crossing the finish line, it's about how much wreckage you leave behind on your way there, and maybe, just maybe, that's all the story a game like this ever needs. Hey there, thanks for watching to the end of this video. If you enjoyed, leave a like, a comment and subscribe, as I have 292 more games to cover between now and the inevitable heat death of the universe. Follow me on Twitter and join the Discord. I've been Zeniverse and I'm traveling to the moon, finally.